All right, let's hear what the fucking Tim Dillon is saying.
I ask because
Yeah.
do you feel like you're part of a new establishment that's being created?
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. I think it would be pretty difficult to look at these podcasts. I know it's a popular thing right now, especially in certain media circles, to say that after running an incredibly unpopular candidate who was introduced very late in the race because an elderly man who could not be the president, who everyone told was functioning as the president for 4 years, decided to, this wind is wild, huh?
Yeah.
See? But this was a very specific circumstance in which Kamala Harris ran for the presidency.
Yeah.
She was somewhat unpopular, and she was not a star in Democratic politics before this at all. And her communication strategy was pretty weak. I think most people have admitted that. So to hang this defeat all on a few podcasts and to say that they were the problem, I just don't buy the narrative. So I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you weigh, again, a few comedians with podcasts versus all of the people that supported Kamala Harris, you know, Democrat donors, billionaires, big people. If the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
I think even beyond politics, though, even beyond the question of the election, like, again, I know the, like, liberal Joe Rogan conversation is so dominant and I think not, like, nuanced enough. But there is power in a massive audience.
There's absolutely power in a massive audience, but if you're saying that that power is equal to the CIA or all of these other people that have been very critical of President Trump, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that, like, the power that Theo Von has would be equal to, like, the intelligence agencies or these massive legacy media institutions seems crazy.
But you got way more audience than, like when you're saying we don't have power, we're not the CIA. Well, you know, there's some gradations between that, and also I'm sure there's, like,
well, just you use the word.
I don't think he's wrong. And by the way, he has every opportunity here to fucking puff his chest and flex about the unprecedented amount of influence that he has, just as I do when all these fucking same exact media operations are coming to me being like, oh, you're the left Joe Rogan. Like, you're the left Joe Rogan. But he's not wrong. He's not wrong when he says, like, yes, they have influence. Same with myself as well. But, like, no one here is a fucking kingmaker, okay? Because at the end of the day, you still have to look at the goddamn parties. You have to look at the parties and the policy and the way that they present themselves. It's not just a messaging issue. Oh. Sorry for the off topic. Have you covered Asmongold's recent videos farming white genocide bullshit regarding South Africa? No, but I'm not surprised that he would take a white nationalist position alongside the fucking president of the United States of America because he's a moron.
Establishment.
Yeah.
I didn't say that we didn't have any power or that audiences weren't powerful. But when you use the term establishment, I think that that's more than just having an audience. That's having an institutional component that I don't think we have. But I think legacy media does. I think the government and the intelligence communities do. I think Hollywood certainly does. And I think all of those people, all of those power factions have worked together for a very, very, very long time. So to say that a few comedians with podcasts equal that seems crazy.
I see
to
why
me.
Okay, I understand.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
Like, even the dumbest American could still realize that Biden was fucking mentally decrepit.
You know, again,
and I guess in some ways, the Democratic Party machine was even dumber than the dumbest American, because they fucking turned around and thought that they could like keep up this song and dance. You're biting on his pivot. He's discounting his pull. He has millions of people's attention for hours and hours a day. Hollywood does not have that power. Tim's response is nonsense. The context of this conversation was how cozy his media cohort is with the administration. By the way, the CIA would kill to have his platform. Dude, you are failing to comprehend what I'm saying. I'll give you an example. If I had this level of fucking... If every single podcaster... Here, great example for you. If every single podcaster tomorrow, alongside myself, we all got together. I know all these people. I communicate with all these people. And I somehow got all of them to literally ride for Jill Stein. Do you think Jill Stein makes it out as a third-party candidate? Do you think the entirety of the podcast circle getting together and backing Jill Stein would have actually made Jill Stein win a single fucking state? One state. I'm willing to bet that not a single state would be won by Jill Stein and the Green Party. And we don't even have to entertain this idea. Joe Rogan at his peak, far more powerful and prominent than he is now, endorsed Bernie Sanders. So did I. Did that move the needle? No, it didn't. You cannot fucking outflank the goddamn parties and the message that they're putting out there. Just like no matter how many great policies the Democrats were to even present, if Joe Biden was the guy, it was a bridge too far for many Americans. They were like, nope, he's too old. I think that if you had all these podcasts hammering that for multiple cycles, you can move the needle. But I see your point. Dude, that in and of itself is already proving the point that I'm making. I think for a lot of people, like you consume my content, okay? So I get why you are the worst possible person for me to shake some sense into. Everyone in here tends to, and all of my haters as well, who are also extremely online, tend to overestimate the influence that people like myself and others have over the broader populace, over the broader population of voters. Okay? The overwhelming majority of voters don't know who the fuck I am. You aren't Joe, though. Okay, you're still going back to Joe Rogan and totally avoiding the point that I made about Joe Rogan, which was that Joe Rogan endorsed fucking Bernie Sanders. And he had more prominence at that point. He had more influence at that point. And what did that do? Nothing.
I can name you.
I think you and other streamers really downplay the reach people get. No, we are not. We are telling you critically. We are telling you. I'm telling you that, yes, of course I have a lot of influence. Of course I have a lot of influence. That doesn't mean it's enough influence to literally change the dynamic of an election, especially when the party is indefensible. It's not that I'm giving up, it's that I'm being fucking honest. March, what's good? Cameras here, bags here. 2 of the batteries are on the couch getting charged. Hopefully they're charged enough.
Hi, chat.
Very successful left-wing or left of center comics who are playing in theaters and
You can take it off
arenas
the wall, though.
and have movies out. And then I can name you some which apparently now there's 5 podcasters that dominate the whole world. This is a crazy thing. But this is every article that's been written since the election.
I understand.
Is that 5 guys now are the only people in comedy who make money or have audiences. It's the craziest narrative.
I legitimately don't understand why you get criticized on the left so much. I don't fully agree with everything you say, but for the most part, most of what you say I do. I think you're very pragmatic and strategic, though I commend your efforts. You try to keep your goals realistic and understand why you get so frustrated with chatters. I get criticized by the left because the format that I exist under is super, super clippable in a negative way. In a positive way as well, which I think my fans do a decent job with. Right? There's a lot of like content out there on TikTok from fan channels that are clipping some of the points I make. A lot of them go viral. It's great. But the content that I make also is endlessly clippable in a negative direction, where someone can just like take something completely out of context and just constantly pummel it. And when I have a steady, like a massive audience of haters that farm all of that negative attention and have been doing so to relative success for the past like 5 years at this point, people end up moving. People end up getting swayed by that. A lot of apolitical people end up getting swayed by that. Especially because no one has enough time to watch even a fucking 20-minute video. It's much easier to watch someone else's 20-minute video that captures all of my worst moments from their perspective, that's like negatively placed in front of people, so that you can just have like this bite-sized apolitical framework that is much easier to consume.
Ever, and it came off the heels of running one of the most unpopular candidates with a platform that the American people largely rejected. They largely rejected this platform, and they rejected it in 2016, and then everybody got together and said, it's actually these 5 guys who had podcasts. They're the most powerful people in the world. They're the new establishment, and they're the reason for this electoral defeat.
From October 2024, Pew poll, social media is the primary news source for 20% of Americans, podcasts for 5%, other 4%. Well, social media and podcasts work side by side, though. Because when people say social media is a primary source, these podcasters are on every platform. I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitch. So obviously I'm covering a lot of that, okay? And so is Tim and everyone else. So yeah, all of this stuff is silly at the end of the day if you're not going to change any of your policies, and instead, if you're not going to change any of your policies, and instead you're going to fucking go out and I don't know, play tickle party games with Liz Cheney. All right. Another Tim Dillon clip. Okay.
All those people who had the left-wing shows like Amy Schumer and Michelle Wolf, Samantha Bee, those have all been canceled. All those shows are canceled.
Well, but there'll be new ones. There'll be new ones. I mean, do you not have the faith? Do you think there's going to be no left-wing comedy?
I don't see like a little ecosystem or like a galaxy.
There's a galaxy.
World,
there's
right?
An establishment.
There's Rogan, and there's all this stuff.
I mean, is Trevor Noah not popular? He does arenas.
Is he popular?
He's an arena comedian. He's one of the most popular comedians in the country. HasanAbi, Ronnie Chang. These guys are all left-wing, and they're all really funny, really popular comics who I'm friends with and like.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't think this thing's happening. Whatever everyone thinks happening, I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, I don't think Tim is wrong on this. I'm not going to lie. I think he's right. No, I don't think he's wrong. There are a shit ton of fucking... I mean, he's wrong when he says, like, Trevor Noah is really funny, but that's besides the point. Like, there are incredibly famous left-wing comedians out there. Bill Burr is probably the greatest comedian of our generation, consistent. He is the most left-wing comic out there. What the fuck are we talking about? I'm shocked that he didn't even bring up Bill Burr. He does?
Is happening. This idea that like left-wing like where are they? Where are they to be found? Where's Amy Schumer? I don't know. She's in her $15 million townhouse in Brooklyn. I think she'll be okay. I will text a few of them and go, people are worried about you.
Okay.
I think they're okay.
The idea that Stavi's going to save the Dem Party is this collective cope that comes from the fact that nobody believes that the Dem Party is capable of changing. Yeah, also... people like myself or people like Stavros or even like other comics, for example, I'm not saying I am a comedian, but like media personalities that have a political idea are not going to fucking stand aside and turn around and be like, we love the Dems. Yeah, Amy Schumer's a great example of this because she is a Democratic Party mouthpiece. Ain't nobody gives a fuck about what Amy Schumer has to say about politics. Amy Schumer's not left-wing, but she is definitely a Democrat. I mean, she's literally related to Chuck Schumer.